Ambassador Zethkar clicked his mandibles in satisfaction as he reviewed the holographic display one final time. The hegemony's grand fleet stretched across 3 star systems, 12,000 vessels of various classes, representing the combined military might of 17 species. It was, by any measure, the largest armada ever assembled in galactic history. "The humans have 43 hours to surrender unconditionally," he announced to the assembled War Council. "After that, we reduce their pathetic little world to cosmic dust." The other ambassadors chittered their agreement. The Veltar representative, a crystalline being whose form refracted light into prismatic patterns, pulsed with anticipation. "Finally, we put these upstart Deathworlders in their place. They've been far too bold for a species that only achieved faster-than-light travel 3 decades ago." Zethkar's species, the Korthani, had been spacefaring for over 2 millennia. The idea that a pack of primitives from some backwater death world could waltz into galactic politics and start making demands was preposterous. Humans had somehow convinced several minor species to join their Terran coalition, disrupting trade routes and challenging established hierarchies. It was time to remind them of their place in the cosmic order. The ultimatum was transmitted across subspace networks, reaching Earth within minutes. The hegemony expected immediate capitulation. What sane species would face such overwhelming odds? Commander Sarah Chen read the transmission twice before setting it down on her desk. Around her, the emergency command center buzzed with activity, as staff officers coordinated responses across Earth's defensive networks. The planet's orbital installations were impressive by human standards, but even the most optimistic projections showed them lasting perhaps 6 hours against the hegemony fleet. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Rodriguez approached with a datapad. "Strategic Command wants to know if we're proceeding with Operation Damocles." Chen nodded grimly. The hegemony had made a critical error in their intelligence gathering. They saw Earth as just another world, larger than most, with a somewhat denser population, but fundamentally similar to the garden worlds they knew. They had no concept of what a true death world was like, or what kind of species could evolve on one. 18 hours before the deadline, Earth's response arrived at hegemony headquarters. It was brief. "Terms rejected. Come and take it." Zethkar couldn't believe the audacity. "Scan their system again," he ordered. "They must have hidden fleets we haven't detected." The sensor technician, a nervous pixrie whose fur bristled with anxiety, double-checked the readings. "No, sir. The scans are accurate. 47 orbital defense platforms, 16 patrol cruisers, and their planetary surface installations. Nothing more." "Then they're bluffing," Zethkar decided, "or they've gone mad. No matter, we proceed as planned." The hegemony fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system with overwhelming confidence. Zethkar watched, the tactical display as his forces formed attack formations, expecting to see evacuation ships fleeing the doomed world. Instead, something impossible happened. Every human ship, every orbital platform, every surface installation opened fire simultaneously, not at the hegemony fleet, but at Earth's moon. "What are they doing?" the Veltar ambassador demanded, his crystalline form flickering with confusion. The answer came 37 seconds later. The moon, subjected to precisely calculated bombardment at specific geological fault lines, began to break apart, not chaotically, but with surgical precision, splitting along predetermined fracture points that human engineers had spent decades preparing. "By the void," whispered the sensor technician. "They're using their own moon as a weapon." Zethkar watched in growing horror as massive lunar fragments, each the size of a mountain, began accelerating toward the hegemony fleet. The humans had turned their planet's natural satellite into the largest shotgun blast in recorded history. "Evasive maneuvers," he screamed, but the laws of physics were merciless. The lunar debris spread across millions of kilometers, moving at velocities that made dodging impossible for ships designed for conventional warfare. The first impacts devastated the forward battle groups. Hegemony vessels, built for combat against energy weapons and guided missiles, crumpled like paper against multi-billion-ton rocks moving at relativistic speeds. In less than 3 minutes, 4,000 ships simply ceased to exist. But the humans weren't finished. As the surviving hegemony forces reeled from the lunar bombardment, every volcanic region on Earth erupted simultaneously. The planet's surface became a hellscape of molten rock and toxic gases, but somehow the orbital defenses continued functioning. Through the smoke and fire, massive railgun emplacements emerged from hidden mountain bunkers, launching projectiles that turned fleeing hegemony cruisers into expanding clouds of superheated plasma. "How are they surviving their own planet's destruction?" gasped the Pixri technician. The answer lay in something the hegemony had never encountered, a species that had evolved on a world trying to kill them every single day. Humans had built their entire civilization inside active volcanic zones, under crushing ocean depths, in frozen polar wastelands, and within radioactive zones that would kill most galactic species in minutes. They didn't just survive catastrophe, they weaponized it. Deep beneath Earth's surface, in bunkers that could withstand direct nuclear bombardment, human civilization continued uninterrupted. They had spent centuries preparing for the day their world might face extinction, building redundant systems and fallback plans for every conceivable disaster. Commander Chen watched the tactical display from her underground command center, 5 kilometers beneath the former city of Denver. Around her, her staff coordinated the defense with calm efficiency, even as their planet burned above them. Phase 2 initiated, reported Lieutenant Rodriguez. The asteroids are on course. Sethkar's surviving fleet tried desperately to retreat, but the humans had one final surprise. The Trojan asteroids at Jupiter's Lagrange points, previously dismissed as natural debris, suddenly changed course. Each one was equipped with hidden propulsion systems, turning them into massive kinetic weapons that had been positioned years in advance. As his flagship shuddered under another impact, Sethkar finally understood what the humans had been trying to tell the galaxy. They weren't a typical spacefaring civilization that happened to come from a dangerous world. They were Deathworlders, beings so thoroughly adapted to surviving the impossible that they saw extinction-level events as tactical opportunities. The hegemony fleet that had numbered 12,000 ships limped home with fewer than 800 survivors. Behind them, Earth continued its apocalyptic display, a planet literally tearing itself apart to destroy its enemies while somehow keeping its people alive in the process. The war was over in less than 6 hours. 3 months later, as Earth's surface began to cool and the reconstruction efforts commenced, the Galactic Council voted unanimously to grant humanity a permanent seat on the ruling body. The resolution's text was simple. Some species negotiate, some species fight, and some species turn their entire world into a weapon while having breakfast underground. These are distinctions worth remembering. Sethkar, now stripped of his ambassadorial rank and serving as a junior clerk on a mining station, often wondered what might have happened if the hegemony had simply accepted humanity's original trade proposals. But then he would remember the sight of a planet destroying its own moon just to make a point, and decided that some questions were better left unanswered. After all, Deathworlders don't bluff. They just redefine what's possible.